It was the early hours of December 12, 2020, when a lone security guard patrolled the Purple People Bridge in Cincinnati, Ohio. The bridge, often quiet at this time of night, seemed just like any other shift until he spotted something unusual. A heavy bag sat on the pathway, slightly ajar, as if someone had hurriedly abandoned it. At first glance, it could have been leftover Halloween decorations or perhaps forgotten luggage. But something about it wasn't right. Curiosity turned into dread as the guard leaned closer. His flashlight illuminated the bag, and the sight made him step back in shock. He immediately dialed 911.
Cincinnati 911, what is the address of the emergency?
I found a dead body.
Like on the edge of the bridge. But my curiosity got the best of me. So I got up there and knocked it down.
It was heavy. It hit the ground. It's like a body bag.
The contents weren't forgotten props. They were something far more disturbing. What the authorities would uncover would not only leave the city reeling, but would also link back to a heartbreaking mystery: the disappearance of a young mother and her 3-year-old son. The bridge, which connects Ohio to Kentucky, was mostly deserted at that hour, bathed in the dim glow of streetlights and shrouded in eerie silence. The guard couldn't shake the unease as he recounted what he had seen to the operator. Within minutes, officers arrived at the scene. As they carefully opened the bag, their faces hardened. Inside, they found human remains, immediately sending shockwaves through the department. While the forensic team began their work, investigators were struck by a haunting possibility. Could this discovery be connected to the case of 3-year-old Nylo Latimore and his mother, Ntia Latimore? Both had vanished just days earlier, leaving behind only unanswered questions and a city desperate for answers. The discovery on December 12, 2020, left the security guard shaken. As he opened the bag on the Purple People Bridge, the horrifying reality hit him. It wasn't just a bag of discarded items. What lay inside was unmistakably human remains. His hands trembled as he grabbed his phone and dialed 911, struggling to keep his voice steady while describing what he had found. The police arrived swiftly, cordoning off the area and starting their investigation. The bag's contents were sent to the coroner's office for examination. Within hours, the autopsy results confirmed the identity of the victim, 29-year-old Ntia Latimore. Her cause of death was a brutal stabbing, leaving no doubt that her death was intentional. As investigators worked to piece together the events leading to her murder, one haunting question remained unanswered: where was her 3-year-old son, Nylo Latimore? The discovery on the bridge only deepened the mystery, sending shockwaves through the community and sparking an intense search for answers. Ntia Latimore was known for her vibrant personality and unwavering devotion to her children. At 29, she was a young mother who found her greatest joy in spending time with her 3-year-old son, Nylo. Those who knew Ntia described her as warm, compassionate, and full of life. Her bond with Nylo was unmistakable, whether it was reading bedtime stories, laughing at his little jokes, or simply holding his hand during their evening walks. Ntia's world revolved around her son. Nylo, with his big brown eyes and infectious smile, was the light of her life. He loved playing with his toy cars, watching cartoons, and asking endless questions about the world around him. Their connection was not just that of a mother and child, but two souls deeply intertwined. Antonio Hughes, Nylo's father, shared an equally strong love for his son. Though his relationship with Ntia had its ups and downs, his devotion to Nylo was steadfast. Friends recalled how Antonio would talk endlessly about his plans for Nylo's future, dreaming of the best life for his little boy. The sudden disappearance of Ntia and Nylo left their family and friends devastated. As investigators began to piece together the story, the emotional weight of their loss hung heavy, driving the desperate need for justice. Following the grim discovery of Ntia Latimore's body on December 12, 2020, the search for her 3-year-old son, Nylo, became a race against time. Authorities, volunteers, and local organizations banded together, scouring the area for any sign of the missing child. Flyers were distributed across Cincinnati, while search teams combed through nearby parks, rivers, and neighborhoods. Days into the search, investigators made a heart-wrenching discovery. A Paw Patrol blanket stained with blood, later confirmed to be Nylo's, was found near the Ohio River. Not far from it, Nylo's stroller was also recovered. These findings, though devastating, added urgency to the mission. As detectives pieced together the evidence, they were left grappling with a haunting question: where was Nylo? The community held its breath, hoping for a miracle. Candlelight vigils were organized, prayers were offered, and people clung to the hope that Nylo might still be found alive. Yet, with every passing day, the uncertainty grew heavier, leaving those closest to Ntia and Nylo in unimaginable pain. The investigation soon turned its focus to Deshawn Brown, Ntia Latimore's on-again, off-again boyfriend. At just 20 years old, Deshawn had a troubled history that raised immediate red flags. Witness accounts from neighbors described frequent arguments between Ntia and Deshawn in the weeks leading up to her death. Detectives searching Ntia's apartment uncovered alarming evidence. Traces of blood were found in suspicious places, suggesting foul play. The timeline began to come together when investigators dug into Deshawn's digital activity. His internet history revealed disturbing searches, including phrases related to disposing of bodies and covering up crimes. Even more damning was the receipt for a body bag, purchased just days before Ntia's murder. Deshawn's demeanor only deepened suspicions. Friends and neighbors noted his lack of concern about Nylo's disappearance, and his explanations about Ntia's whereabouts were inconsistent. Law enforcement pieced together a chilling timeline that pointed directly to Deshawn as the perpetrator. On December 16, 2020, Deshawn Brown was arrested and charged with the murder of Nylo Latimore. As the case unfolded, the evidence against him painted a grim picture. Yet, one question continued to weigh heavily on the hearts of investigators and the community alike: what had happened to little Nylo? As investigators dug deeper into the case, a disturbing motive for Deshawn Brown's actions came to light. He was consumed by anger after learning that Nylo Latimore had suffered a miscarriage. In his twisted perception, he believed that she had deliberately caused it. This belief became the foundation for a plan filled with malice and premeditation. Evidence uncovered by detectives painted a clear picture of Deshawn's intentions. CCTV footage from local stores captured him purchasing a body bag and cleaning supplies days before the murder. Phone records and text messages revealed troubling exchanges that suggested his growing frustration with Ntia. Witness testimonies further confirmed his erratic behavior in the weeks leading up to the tragic events. Deshawn's resentment extended beyond Ntia. Investigators determined that Nylo, Ntia's 3-year-old son, was also a target of his misguided rage. This revelation added another layer of heartbreak to an already devastating case. As detectives pieced together the timeline, the full scope of Deshawn's plan came into focus. What began as anger spiraled into an unthinkable act of violence. The events of December 5, 2020, marked the beginning of a horrifying sequence of actions. That evening, Deshawn Brown murdered Ntia Latimore in her apartment. Using a knife, he carried out his premeditated attack, leaving no chance for her to defend herself. In the hours following the murder, Deshawn made calculated moves to cover his tracks. He logged into Ntia's Facebook account and posted as if she were still alive, attempting to mislead her friends and family. Days later, on December 12th, he disposed of her body in the Ohio River, packing it into a heavy bag that would later be discovered by a security guard. But the tragedy didn't end there. Investigators revealed that Nylo was alive when Deshawn took him to the river. Witness statements and forensic evidence suggested that Deshawn abandoned the 3-year-old, leaving him defenseless against the freezing December waters. The community's grief deepened as the search for Nylo continued, knowing the odds of finding him alive were growing slim. These revelations highlighted the cold, calculated nature of Deshawn's actions. As the case progressed, the question of justice became even more pressing, leaving the city of Cincinnati in mourning over the loss of 2 innocent lives. The search for Nylo Latimore stretched across 3 states: Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. Search teams battled harsh winter conditions and difficult terrain as they combed the Ohio River and surrounding areas for any sign of the young boy. Their task was made more challenging by the swift currents and freezing temperatures, which hampered their efforts to locate him. For Nylo's father, Antonio Hughes, the emotional toll was unbearable. Each passing day weighed heavily on him as the mission shifted from a rescue to a recovery. Antonio often joined the search teams, refusing to give up hope, even as the odds grew slimmer. He became a symbol of resilience and heartbreak, a father clinging to the hope of bringing his son home. Meanwhile, the community rallied around the grieving family. Vigils were held in Nylo's memory, with people lighting candles and sharing prayers for his safe return. Memorials, including flowers and toys, were placed near the Ohio River, a testament to the community's deep sorrow. To ensure Nylo's memory endured, local organizations worked to raise awareness about the case, urging anyone with information to come forward. Although Nylo was never found, the community's efforts highlighted the love and determination to honor the life of a boy who brought joy to everyone around him. Deshawn Brown's trial began with an air of gravity, as the courtroom filled with family, friends, and members of the community seeking justice for Ntia and Nylo. Prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence, including CCTV footage, phone records, and witness testimonies that left no doubt about his guilt. The body bag purchase and internet searches were damning pieces of evidence that painted a clear picture of premeditation. Throughout the trial, Deshawn remained emotionless, offering no apology or explanation for his actions. His lack of remorse further fueled the pain of those who had come to honor Ntia and Nylo's memory. The district attorney, visibly affected by the case, described it as one of the most heartbreaking trials they had ever faced. The prosecution's closing argument emphasized the senselessness of the crime and the immense loss felt by everyone who knew the victims. In the end, Deshawn was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. While justice was served, it could never bring back Ntia or Nylo. For their family and the community, it was a small measure of closure in an otherwise devastating chapter. The loss of Nylo Latimore and her son Nylo was a tragedy that left a deep scar on their family and the Cincinnati community. Ntia was a loving mother whose life revolved around her children, and Nylo was a bright, joyful boy with a future full of promise. Antonio Hughes, still grieving the loss of his son, shared a powerful message during one of the memorial events. "Never forget Nylo and James," he said, urging everyone to remember the love and happiness they brought into the world. Antonio's words served as a reminder to cherish loved ones and fight against violence in all its forms. This heartbreaking story underscores the importance of unity in times of tragedy. It is a call to action for all of us to support one another and speak out against senseless violence. For those watching this video, we invite you to share your thoughts and memories in the comments below. Let's honor Ntia and Nylo by keeping their story alive.